welcome to an NBA DFS slate that we actually love today. And by we, I'm meaning mostly Ghost and my guy, Adam. But welcome in. We're breaking down some NBA DFS right here on dailysports.com. This is all sponsored by the Sharp app. Go to sharp.link. All the ways you can download the Sharp app, whether that is a Google Play Store or the Apple App Store. And also still 1 week free trial that you can get, wds.1/live week. That is the link you can go to get a 1 week free trial. That link is also in the description below. And also got to wish our guy Theo here a little birthday. We got some birthday action going on here, fellas. So happy birthday here, Theo. So good to see you, my man, and happy birthday. Also, yes, Adam is back, baby. We back live. We got a 3-man booth today. So, fellas, why are we liking? I'll start with this because I read the article, the Ghost Gems one. I know you guys kind of alternate on it and do a terrific job. What are we liking about the slate today?
Ghost, you can say it in French.
You can say it in French.
On va faire le stream en français. Moi, ça me dérange pas, man. That'd be sick.
How fluent are you in French?
Sick.
You can actually
fully fluent.
What?
Yeah, I felt like you knew this.
No, I
was mostly looking for one. I was mostly looking for one certain phrase to what we like today.
Oh, the marteau de soir. Oh, baby, the marteau de soir tonight is like level 10.
What is that?
It's unreal. It's the late night hammer, marteau de soir.
I didn't know you were this fluent in French. This is blowing my mind.
I thought you knew this. I fully thought you knew this.
No.
I probably say this at least 4 times a week in chat. I make sure Ghost says it. Usually there's, like a Warriors game.
Okay, but I thought you knew. Okay, so I thought you knew words. I didn't know you knew fluently just how to speak French.
Yeah, no. I
so you can speak 3 languages: English, French, and DFS. Is that what you're telling me?
And and I understand it. So like 3.5. I'll understand Italian and then reply in English.
All right, let's get. So, Adam, is there any particular reason why you like today's slate as well? It seems like this is one that we are all just all over for today.
Yeah, I mean, I do like the late night hammer, as I know Ghost does. And the way the days unfolded, man, there's at least 3 or 4 just super chalk plays, and I think we've kind of learned that if you're looking to take down a GPP, you probably don't want all of them, and there's some really nice pivot options along the way.
Awesome. So let's get to it right now. As you can see, as we are going to put up here is today's slate. Oh, look at that 3-man box that we got going on. I feel like Scott Hansen with all these boxes on the screen. So where are we starting out first here? I always want to start with the top, and look at this. A couple 11K guys and a bunch of 10K. How much are we going to be taking from that group? We'll start with you, Adam, on that one.
I think probably the 2 that we're looking at the most is, we can start out on the West Coast with Steph Curry. I'm going to have a decent amount of Steph and the LaMelo Ball combo out of the late night hammer. We have a ton of value. We have guys that, I'm fine eating some chalk to get to these plays because these are 2 teams that are top 5 in pace, and this game should get up and down in a hurry.
Yeah, so Steph Curry, LaMelo Ball, you snuck in there too. I know LaMelo Ball has been playing well. What makes him one in this spot that you like a lot?
Ghost wrote him up, but he brought up a really good point. Just in the past 2 games alone, Ball's taken 42 shots. So not only does he contribute, throughout all categories, he rebounds the ball, which is always a good thing against the Warriors that kind of lack, any real big outside of Draymond, which is, not the best big on the planet. No offense to Draymond. He already dishes assists, but if he's going to start taking 20 shots a night, he's going to hammer this price tag more often than not.
Yeah, I like him. As you've seen, 2 straight games with over 20 shots, or 20 or more shots, and 2 straight games with over 50 points. Still sits at a 8,500 price tag here on 8,600, on DraftKings. Ghost, is that kind of what you're going with too at the top? Steph Curry, I know you're a big Curry guy. You were looking for him to win MVP last year, even though that wasn't going to happen. But the effort was there. The effort was absolutely there. So good for you.
He should have won MVP.
Stop it.
Don't get me back on that train.
So is there anyone else, I guess, in that 10K range that you would at least be fielding? But is this kind of the group that you're going with here as well?
Yeah, there's a ton. That third option is likely going to be in that 10K range for me again. I wrote up a ton of targets for guys to pivot to. Obviously, it's a GPP article, so you're not going to see me write up the chalk of all chalk. So it's going to be legitimate pivots that are explained throughout, and there are a ton of options there in the $8,500 range with Jonas Valanciunas and De'Aaron Fox and Fred VanVleet at a decent price tag there too as well, with the Toronto Raptors out Scotty Barnes again tonight, which makes me very sad. But Fred VanVleet's going to be able to get all the minutes that he can handle against a very bad defensive Washington team. They have improved a little bit, but I feel like it's more so a product of their surroundings more than anything. So a very high-paced matchup. People are going to look at their last game. Toronto and Washington opened up the season facing one another, and it was a disaster. I mean, that game finished 98-85, and it was not what people expected. But you got to think that that's also the first game after another short offseason for both these teams, right? So to be able to get exposure into that 8.5K range is A-okay with me. Just I will be going with another 10K guy because point guard is absolutely loaded today, and that will dictate the slate.
Yeah,
being able to
is that where you're kind of
these point guards are huge.
Yeah, is that where we're kind of interchanging things a lot? Because like De'Aaron Fox, I know you guys wrote up De'Aaron Fox, James Harden, LaMelo Ball. Like there seems to be a lot of point guards here that you like. How are you kind of attacking that? Because it is a plethora of them, but it's also guys that are really high priced, and it seems like we are paying up. And I'm seeing honorable mentions here with Trae Young and DeJounte Murray as well.
Right. Like it's just for me to be able to see how much rostership a guy like Karl Anthony Towns is going to get, and rightfully so, against the Clippers team, who like their tallest guy is like maybe 5'6" there. So to be able to get Karl Anthony Towns at the 5 with D'Angelo Russell sideline on top of that, like I understand why he's being highly rostered, but just being able to, and I was talking about this in Discord too, it's not about individual rostership percentage. It's all about the combinations, right? And like that aggregate ownership that ends up getting into your lineup is what'll make or break it when it comes down to GPP tournaments. So to be able to get a third 10K guy, very few people are going to be able to have a Curry LaMelo Ball combo, period, let alone adding a third 10K guy like a Nikola Jokic, like a Joel Embiid, or like a James Harden. So those are the three that I named because those are the three that I'm really targeting right now, especially, with Jokic not pulling as high of a rostership that he should be on a slate like this. With the amount of value that we have, it should be right to Joker, but a lot of people aren't doing that with Karl Anthony Towns there because not many people build double center lineups, period, on DraftKings, let alone spend $20,000 on both their centers there too. So
since this is our first stream with the triple box, I'll give Adam the hardest question of the day. What in the bleep are we doing at power forward?
It's so bad. Oh my God.
It's not great. And I thought in the article, I probably would have written the exact same thing had I been on content last night. We're fortunate that actually both sites have a little bit more positional flexibility now, because I'm probably just rostering a small forward in that spot because power forward is not great. So if you don't want to go to a guy like Evan Mobley, the Cavs ran basically a 7-man rotation last game, and that included Lauri Markkanen for 35 minutes. So Mobley played 40 minutes last game, if my memory serves me correctly. He's going to probably log at least another 40 minutes. So, yeah, if you want to spend $7K on that, that's awesome. By all means, do it. But if not, you can slide one of these small forwards into that slot and give your lineup a little bit more flexibility around it and be able to build a little bit differently.
Is that the way you're doing it as well, Ghost?
Yeah, there's really only, I'll say 4 guys that I'm considering there. Obviously, Sabonis doesn't really count because I just consider him on any day, any and why. But there's really only 3 guys that I'm considering, and I guess I could say towards the top because that's as high as I'd go at a terrible power forward position today is Evan Mobley. Love him against a terrible Portland defense in general, let alone against Jusuf Nurkic. So should be able to dominate the glass. Getting 15 attempts last game now with Lauri Markkanen off the court. On top of that, they're going to have to get the ball inside because if Colin Sexton's shot is not dropping, Darius Garland can really hoop. And I really enjoy watching Darius Garland play, but man, like if he's not really outside of his mid-range. Like it's a very similar game to the way that Chris Paul plays, but Chris Paul's a first ballot Hall of Famer and Darius Garland is not, at least not yet. So to be able to play that style of game against Damian Lillard and CJ McCollum, he'll be just fine. But the way that Portland will be able to scheme that defense, like you have to get the ball inside the paint and attack Nurkic and get him off the court as much as possible. Then you're looking at an additional matchup against the likes of Cody Zeller. Like I absolutely love Evan Mobley. And if I am somewhat paying up there, if not in the lower to mid range, it's going to be Franz Wagner for me. Did write him up as well. But Franz Wagner really seeing a ton of touches on a very high upside Orlando offense, and they will be very good. I don't want to say great, but they will be very good in a few years from now with a talented backcourt in Jalen Suggs and Cole Anthony. And now they have Franz Wagner playing this hybrid wing role where he's able to log minutes at the 4 and at the 3. Bit of a taller dude to run minutes at the 3, but he does it very well just because of how smooth his shooting stroke is, right? So to be able to see him being able to pick up the ball on the outside and hit these shots from behind the arc has really been good. And like it's a really, really good matchup for him tonight. Like seeing this matchup on the board, like it really does entice me to play Franz Wagner a lot. I wrote up all the details if you guys need to read about that. And then the punt for me is going to be from your Philadelphia 76ers, and that's
Love
Niang.
it.
So a lot of people are going to be able to fit 4 punts in their lineup today, and I say punts because they are exactly that. We're playing guys like Svi Mihailuk and Chetty Osman. I just got nauseous saying that name out loud, but playing guys like Chetty Osman, playing like, you know what I mean? Playing guys like Malik Beasley. Like it gets really ugly. And George Niang actually led the 76ers in field goal attempts last game, right alongside Seth Curry. They both had 16 shot attempts, right? So to be able to see him come off that bench now and no Tobias Harris, and for me, the key factor is not Tobias Harris being out, it's Danny Green being out. Because Niang could play the 3 and he could play the 4, and with everyone playing Korkmaz again, go ahead and play Korkmaz because Korkmaz is in that starting lineup. Most likely he was in the starting lineup yesterday. Now with Danny Green out, I don't foresee him suddenly going back to the bench all of a sudden. You're playing a very chalky Korkmaz. Joel Embiid is back on the floor tonight. Hello. Every single touch is going to him in that starting lineup. Every single one of them. They want to get Nikola Vucevic off the floor. So every touch is going to Joel Embiid on the outside. It's going to Joel Embiid on the inside. That entire offense is going to run through Joel Embiid. So I need someone coming off the bench that's going to be able to hit that mid-range and on top of that, hit the deep ball. And Niang yesterday playing 31 minutes, taking 16 shots. Like, I don't know what more it can be other than that, but that's exactly what he provides to the 76ers team. Usually it's in smaller doses in 10 to 12 minutes, but when we're seeing him get north of 30, now we're talking about an extremely high interest player that I have on my radar right now because he's roughly 10% rostered, not because he's a bad play, but because of everyone else that's being rostered.
Yeah, and I know we were talking about the Sixers before we went on. And Adam, did I hear you maybe shake Milton for today? Because Sixers, there are some players out here, Tobias Harris, Danny Green, and it doesn't seem like Shake Milton's going to be any kind of minutes restriction or anything like that. Were you saying that you like Shake Milton?
I don't know about but he's definitely a little bit more on the radar now that Doc Rivers has said that he's off his minutes restriction. It does help that you can play him at shooting guard. You don't take up a point guard spot. And the other guy I do want to bring up because, the Sixers are drawing some decent rostership. It's a little bit more difficult because he's 5,600. But, let's say you drop Mobley to just say Nick Batum. You can go a guy like Seth Curry, who nobody is playing off this Sixers team. He's under 1%. He's not going to do a whole lot else but score, especially, with all the touches going to Embiid. But, man, if his shot's dropping, he can pay off this price, and he can torch the rest of the chalk from this Philly lineup. It's really a nice way to go about it in GPP, knowing the risk that you're taking.
Yeah, I like that one. Seth Curry, obviously. With Joel Embiid back, I think it's going to be just a lot of Joel Embiid and Seth Curry now that Tobias is out and Danny Green. And I actually think it helps a little bit, Seth Curry, that Joel Embiid is in there. I think it's going to be mainly those two that are going to provide any scoring output. Any Andre Drummond at 6K? Probably not.
No.
Not 6K.
Not this slate.
All right, so I will ask you, one of you each, just the game that we like, because I know we like going after games. Ghost, I will give you Toronto, Washington. No, I'm just kidding. But what is a game that we are attacking for today?
I really do like that late night hammer. I'm really invested in it, and I think I wrote up 6 guys from that game. So, but we already touched on that one a little bit. And my main pieces are going to be Steph Curry and LaMelo Ball. So, throw a mention to Miles Bridges as well, who I really like in this spot. No one really else on Golden State interests me, but I really do like some Terry Rozier or Miles Bridges. Terry Rozier more so on FanDuel, where he's almost $5,000. I think our 5,300 or 5,500 for Terry Rozier is just absolutely absurd now that he's healthy. So if you're playing over on FanDuel, Terry Rozier is a high target of mine in an elite game environment there. But on DK and both sides, Miles Bridges is firmly in play again, and that's another small forward that is dual position eligible, where at a very weak power forward spot, you're able to slot in a small forward, guys like him, guys like Wagner, etc. If you can't get Mobley in there and you want to go full on game stack with LaMelo Ball, Miles Bridges, and Steph Curry, I definitely won't say no, but just make sure that Miles Bridges is your power forward because it's an ugly position tonight. The game that I want to talk about, kind of, I don't want to say off the wall because there are some decent amount of players in this game that are going to be highly rostered, but the Clippers-Minnesota game is a ridiculously tight spread. And I mean, it's Dwight like a Thliga. Like, it is
Austin Powers references. I'm always going to pop for that. Well done.
Having the Clippers, forget about a tight spread. Like, the Clippers aren't even favored in this game against the Minnesota Timberwolves. Like, that is like, oh man, like Paul George needed to play 41 minutes for them to beat OKC. Like, if you're playing Towns,
to play 40 minutes all of season.
That's what I'm like. If you're playing Towns tonight, call me crazy. I really do not mind paying 10.9 for Paul George because he can easily lead this slate in scoring. Easily. With nobody playing him, he's likely under 5% rostered tonight because of that absurd price tag. But name me a guy who's going to be more involved in an offense and more involved in whether his team wins or gets absolutely obliterated off the court than Paul George. Like, there's no one. Like, the game is a pick'em. Vegas has this as a 50-50 coin flip, a ridiculously high total. Minnesota does not know how to defense. They do not know how to defense at all. They don't even know what that word means. And now getting the one player on the Clippers that will have an absurd usage rate will take over 20 shots, likely to be at 25 shots, crashing the glass because the tallest guy on that roster is like 5'5", like I was saying. It's all Paul George tonight. The only way the Clippers win this game is Paul George. He needed to play 41 minutes for them to beat OKC. Like, they almost lost to Josh Giddey. The guy's been in the league for like 3 to 5 business days. It's all Paul George at this point. Paying 10.9 is absolutely ridiculous. I've been playing Paul George every slate. Everyone knows that. It was sub 5% owned PG-13 every single day, and I was like, why? Like, is Kawhi coming to play on crutches? Like, I don't understand. And he would just smash the price tag, smash the price tag, smash the price tag. Now he finally gets up there to 10.9. Whoa, like a $1,500 price jump all of a sudden. He still interests me. Because Vegas is telling us, and I'm pretty sure they're good at what they do, Vegas is telling us that this game is a 50-50 for either team to win or lose at a ridiculously high total. And you have one guy on the Clippers that is worth rostering tonight, and that's Paul George. So if you are eating a decent amount of chalk in Karl-Anthony Towns, you should strongly consider playing Paul George, especially with the amount of punts that are available to us. It's not about, well, I need to pay this stud, that. You can afford literally the top 3 highest priced players on the slate today if you want to. If you really want to, you can. You can afford anybody you want to. You can play anyone you want to if you're using guys like Svi, Chetty Osman, Malik Beasley, Niang. I'll give an honorable mention to Kem Birch, who I'll talk about towards the end of the show there because I absolutely love Kem Birch tonight. But these guys are all sub $4,000. What are you doing with the rest of your salary? Like, if you're playing Towns, a Paul George, Karl-Anthony Towns duo tonight, if these guys are going at it, they can combine for 140 DK.
Yeah, so I'll ask that then. Since we go ahead, Adam.
I'll throw this out here too. If you desperately don't want to give up, let's say the Curry LaMelo Ball, but you can still squeeze in Karl-Anthony Towns, guys like Batum, who I brought up, in Kennard. I mean, the Clippers might just say the hell with it, or we'll just let Cat do his thing and we'll just play small. The Wolves are giving up a 3-point attempt 44% of the time so far this year. Like if a guy like Kennard or Batum's gonna find ceiling, it's because the 3-point shot's fallen, and this is kind of the spot to do it in.
Yeah, I like that. And so, Adam, what is a game that you like? And Ghost just mentioned some punts there, and I do want to go over some of the punts that you guys like. But Adam, is there a specific game that you are liking to target for tonight?
So Ghost wrote up Harden, which I really like. And honestly, one of my favorite center plays is in that game, and it's Clint Capela. Because he's coming in under 2% rostership right now. And I kind of understand it because he hasn't really been playing the full complement of minutes. He had an Achilles issue in the preseason. But you can see right there, he just played 33 minutes, which was his season high. So it really looks like, that whole thing is kind of done with now. Nick Claxton is out. So that leaves LaMarcus Aldridge, that leaves Blake Griffin and Paul Millsap to try and deal with Capela and John Collins down low. You can call an ambulance because Capela can run a little bit. Like he can hold his own, especially against those guys. The Nets are dead last in points in the paint allowed, and Capela, even on limited minutes, is about top 10 in the paint category, and he averages 16 rebounding chances a game. He's going to eat that interior alive tonight.
Yeah,
John
I like
Collins
that.
is hobbled
Capela.
too,
Yeah.
and that
right.
We saw that extra run, which we normally don't see for Capela towards the end of the second. Towards the end of the first, beginning of the second. He came off later than he usually does, and he came on earlier than he usually does because of John Collins being hobbled, right? So, and I love that call. Being able to get Clint Capela tonight, 7,100. I'll put him in the same category as a guy like Evan Mobley. Like they're kind of in no man's land on the pricing grid tonight. So
right,
getting these guys at less than 5% roster is
and
huge.
Cat or something like that. Eubanks and center of choice or high price player choice. They're not going to go Eubanks and Capela.
Yeah, and you guys mentioned a couple of punts. I don't want to give them all away out here on this program because you can probably find them on the optimizer. You can probably find some on the projection model, windailysports.com, 1 week free trial, wds.com/liveweek is where you can go to check out all of the tools that we have to help you build your DFS lineups for tonight. But what are Ghost ran through a couple of them. We'll start with you, Adam, though. What are some punts? Because it seems like that's kind of where we're going to need to go in this slate.
Yeah, I mean, if you're building a cash lineup, at least as of 6 o'clock while we're doing this, it's Chetty Osman from the Cavs. We talked about that one already, and it's probably going to be Drew Eubanks with Jakob Poeltl being out. Like you pretty much just have to start your cash builds with those two guys. They're too cheap. I don't love Chetty. He's a guy that I'm pretty happy to be underweight in tournaments. But for your cash lineup, you just start with those two and you start building from there.
Ghost?
I'll talk about Malik Beasley a bit with D'Angelo Russell out in Minnesota. It's another game that I like, but there are some pivots in that game too. Patrick Beverley being one of them, as gross as that sounds. It's a revenge game for Pat Bev, so he can either go off or he can go off the court and get ejected. Yeah, he could either go off to Pat Bev standards there, or he can go off, meaning he can get ejected within the first 30 seconds. So there will be absolutely no in between for Patrick.
It's all in play.
But that's what NBA DFS is. You live for the late scratches. You live for the amount of injuries and stuff like that. So why not throw in a little suspense, if I will, in that mix too.
The Always Sunny episode where Charlie just streams wild card and jumps out of the van. That's pretty much Patrick Beverley tonight.
I love that's Patrick Beverley every night.
Right. So I'll talk.
True, but even more.
But even accented more. Yeah, you're right. Oh my god.
Malik Beasley is going to be the highly owned roster guy. Outside of Chetty and Eubanks there too. But you don't have to pivot to another game. You could just slot in Pat Bev. The issue is, again, I wrote these exact words and I meant it when I said it last night. I mean it when I say it now. Point guards will dictate this slate tonight. So I don't really feel like wasting a spot on Patrick Beverley. But
that's a tough sell for me.
But really if you land there and are confident with your build, it is your build, not ours. So
did I just build the winning lineup here? Yes or no?
No, because it's not. No,
not at all.
No, man's using two Orlando guys.
Why not?
What are you doing?
Franz
Two
Wagner
Orlando
and
two
Where's
Cavs.
your third stud? Where's your third
stud?
stud? Where's your third stud?
what do you mean? I built a winning
Niang
lineup.
is not a stud.
Niang is absolutely
put down
a
the
stud.
Philly
Have you watched
cheesesteak.
them?
He's not a stud.
They're going to be in the classic Spectrum unis, I think, tonight or something. I don't know. They're
Oh, by the way,
Lord.
extra narrative sauce tonight. Draymond Green is mic'd up on a nationally televised game.
Oh, wonderful.
Against the Charlotte Hornets. So,
beautiful.
First stream in a while, this man's playing two Magic and two Cavaliers.
Yeah, pick a slower paced game. Please pick slower paced games. Why don't you? Might as well load up Paul Millsap and Blake Griffin and LMA in that lineup.
I'm gonna put this one in the Discord chat and see what the Discord chat does.
Croker special. People are gonna be like, what did they put on the screen?
I'm gonna get so many flame emojis because it's such a great lineup.
Oh man. Yeah, that's gonna be a no from me, dog. But
you'll get some emojis.
I will. The other punt that I'll mention, since I obviously have to talk about a Raptors game, on top of the fact it's a Washington game, there's no way I can go any slate without talking about Raptors or Washington, especially when they're playing one another. Svi Mihailuk is going to be the chalk of all chalk at 3,700. But the guy that I want to mention, and I'm fired up to talk about him, no, it's not a stud. It's not James Harden. It's not Trae Young. It's not any of these remarkable one-on-one battles that we get to see tonight. It is none other than Khem Birch, the sexiest of all plays on this slate at 4K. So with a extremely chalky Drew Eubanks, expect the vast majority of the field to roster Drew Eubanks at the center position tonight. And again, if you're going double center, they're going to go with Towns, right? They're not going to play double punt center and wait
so predictable. Spot. You're incredibly predictable at this point, Ghost.
Why? I've never spoken about Khem Birch ever. I have not spoken about Khem Birch, but the way that Nick Nurse coaches his team is that when someone gets hot, he will run you into the ground until you are freezing cold, because that's just the way that he coaches. So Khem Birch has been playing well off the bench. Ipso facto, getting a ton of minutes, getting more minutes than starter Precious Achiuwa right now as well. And Chris Boucher is he is living rent-free in the doghouse right now, getting next to no minutes. So it's all Khem Birch tonight against, and wait for it, he's coming off the bench, so you know who he's going up against. It is Montrezl Harrell, who does not know how to defense. He does not know how to defend. So being able to get Khem Birch on the glass there, especially with how well the Wizards defend the three-point shot, sitting 28th in the NBA in three-pointers made allowed per game, and second to last in three-point percentage, meaning that they guard it extremely well because they allow the second lowest three-point percentage made to their opponents right now. Khem Birch is going to have to clean up on the glass all day long, and you can do that against a guy like Montrezl Harrell. So at 4K, I do like me some Khem Birch at the center position.
All right, we are going to have to end it there because coming up next, we got some quarterbacks and stacks. But I love this three-man booth. We're going to have to do this one again, fellas. Ghost at DFS_Ghost. My guy Adam at Buck N for Life. My man does a tremendous job. Both Ghost and Adam. As you see in the Ghost Gems article, it's both of them that are giving you their plays, alternate each and every day. But they do a tremendous job. So go check it out over at windailysports.com, that Ghost Gems article. And they're going to be also in the Discord chat. Sign up for a 1 week free trial, WDS.1/live week. You'll get all the things gold members do, especially the optimizer. So go check that out. Link for that is in the description below. Also, this was all sponsored by the Sharp app. Go to sharp.link and you can see all the ways that you can download the Sharp app, whether that is the Google Play Store or the Apple App Store. That is it for us. Thanks again to Ghost. Thanks again to Adam. We're going to be back in just a few minutes with some quarterbacks and stacks for week 9 of the NFL season. That's with myself and Joel. That's coming up next here, Win Daily Sports.